Hey everyone, and welcome to the 11th webisode of Tech Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about AWS NFS options. Thank you to those who have submitted some suggestions for future topics. We're definitely taking a look at those and going to implement some. So we'll be sending out some Starbucks cards. For those of you who aren't aware, we'll have a link at the end where you can suggest a topic, and if we choose your topic, we'll send you $25 to Starbucks so you can have a coffee or two on us. If you have any questions today about AWS NFS, please feel free to use the questions panel, and we'll either answer it in real time or save it for the end, but we'll definitely get it answered for you. So without further ado, here is Howard Young to discuss AWS NFS options.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Glad that you joined today with our episode of AWS NFS options. So what is NFS? So NFS is basically a network file system and allows you to connect multiple computers or multiple EC2 instances in AWS to a common storage device. And then that's done over the through like a network, either Ethernet or you can even do it over fiber channel in some cases. But it allows you to share data without having to have multiple copies all over the place. So as far as management, it makes it a lot easier. So today, if you look at what you can do in AWS, is there's basically three options. The first one is to build your own. So to go ahead and do any type of NFS, you need to have two or more EC2 instances running an NFS server. So if you want to have like a simple NFS server, non-HA, you can spin one up and manage your EC2 instance. It's quite easy to do. It probably takes about 8 to 10 hours to deploy, once you have everything configured, and then you got to manage it. So where you do the management on your own with your own option, or build your own, Zadara would go ahead and manage that for you, using our Zadara BPSA solution. And if you need to have a highly available solution, now you're going to have two EC2 instances. Then you have to have mirroring between the two, and have any type of failover, and who's going to run the master controller, and who's going to run the slave. You have to put all that logic in. That becomes very complicated and complex if you go ahead and do that. So once you get into these very complex systems, you're going to spend a lot of engineering time and even development time just to build out your own type of solution. Now, in AWS, they announced last year, and it's still in beta testing, and they offer what they call elastic file system. So elastic file system, what that is, it's basically NFS, and then you basically connect your servers to their EFS, which is Elastic File System, and gives you an NFS4 type of capability. Now the third option is to have a third party, such as Zadara, provides you the NFS, and that's where we're going to talk today. Compare what we provide versus what EFS is in AWS. So for the NFS capability, AWS and Zadara, we both provide it. Right now, if you wanted to use NFS, it's only available in US West 2, and it's only by invite only. So you'd have to go in and request access to the EFS preview, and if you're selected and you're lucky enough to get into the program, they'll actually go ahead and allow you to create NFS shares using their product. Now, as far as what we do is we provide direct connects, and wherever there's a direct connect in a data center that's nearby AWS, we'll go ahead and configure that for, or configure the direct connects, and then allow you to connect over the two dual 10 gig direct connects. Right now we support 8 regions, and that always grows as more and more data centers are connected through the direct connects. So eventually we'll probably support the West 2. Now with AWS, they don't support CIFS, so if you wanted to run Windows, you're sort of out of luck there. Where we support CIFS or SMB. It's unclear if they support NFS v3, and we do support v3 and v4. And from what I can tell, with the EFS, right now they're only supporting v4. We both allow scale up of the volumes. So, for example, if you have a 100 gig volume, you can expand it to 200 gig, and it's very simple to do in both cases. Now, what we do not do, and what EFS allows you to do, is to scale down. So you can scale down your volume. So if you wanted, if you were at 200 gig, you can scale down to 100 gig. Now, what we do is it's fixed at the maximum size. But as you know, or you may not be aware of, it's all our volumes can be thinly provisioned. So you can span that up to whatever, and it's only going to use the amount of space that is being used on that particular share. As far as durability, EFS, they do a replication. I'm assuming that's going to be synchronous and not asynchronous, otherwise you would have some kind of issue there if it was asynchronous. As soon as we have more information, and when they go GA, they'll probably tell us the type of replication to have, regardless if it's synchronous or asynchronous. What we do is we support, for durability, we support RAID 1 all the way up to RAID 6. And of course, those RAID groups can be striped, so you can get a RAID 10, 50, or RAID 60 for additional performance. Both AWS and Zadara, we provide a high availability capability, so if one controller goes down, you still have access to the data in AWS, or at least in Zadara. From what I understand, the EFS will support petabyte volumes. Right now we only support up to 100 terabytes, and that can be expanded on a case-by-case basis. So some of the new features in 16.05 that just came out is very interesting. We have a lot of little features that we added that really weren't announced, but I'd like to go through some of them by just creating a share. So if we create a NAS share, I can specify any type of capacity. So if I want a terabyte capacity, I can specify the share name and the type of media. Now, in EFS, they're going to do it to SSDs. So you're going to have a fixed price of whatever they're selling their SSDs at, which can be quite expensive depending on how much your data or the amount of data you're going to provision. We can do it on SSD or SATA, so you can control the price and performance. You can select encrypted, and the new thing that we added for the shares, we now have the capability to do user quotas. So you can turn those on both for user and groups, or you can leave them on but don't enforce it. So what happens with that case is they're on, but they're not enforceable. And then later, at any time, at point in time, you can go ahead and enable it for user or group. For the NFS options, pretty much only one option. You can have root squash, and that basically puts the root out of play, so you can't have the root access the volumes. And then when you submit, you go ahead and submit that. I already created one, so let's call it share 11. I guess I like the share 1 name. And then it'll go ahead and create it. And then that'll be, once it's ready, you can go ahead and mount that to your Linux server. Some of the things, if we go back in here, for the new features is the quotas. So the quotas here, you can specify per user. And right now, it takes a while to go and figure out what it is. And then once you have it, you can go ahead and figure what it is. So I think I have another one on here. I was playing around with this the other day, and I already have a couple of users, and it'll give you how much used and what the limit is. So this one I think I turned off for this particular user. And then this one here you can see what it is, also in groups. So you can specify a group and also user limits. And then you just add this. You can import a set of CSV files that'll give you the per user and groups. And so if you're going to do it by group, it makes it really easy. If you have lots of them, then you just do it by a text or CSV file. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time typing this in through a GUI. So are there any questions on the interface here or EFS?
Yes, perfect timing. I was actually just going to chime in and say we have a couple questions here. First one, is it possible to mount these NFS shares on Windows?
Yes. What you have to do is you have to enable it in Windows. So if you go to the Server Manager and then on Manage, I think it is, you add roles and features. And let's go down to features, and there should be a client. So here I already have it installed. So NFS for client for NFS, that's what you want to enable for your Windows server, and then you can access your NFS share directly using it through Windows. The advantage of that is that NFS runs a little bit faster than CIFS, but you lose the flexibility of permissions. So what you want to do, at least on Windows, you probably want to stick with CIFS or SMB, and that allows a fully integrated solution with accounts and permissions.
Great, thanks, Howard. And this one came in the beginning, but I didn't want to interrupt you since you had just gotten started. But a security question. Someone's wondering if EFS supports encryption. You mentioned that in the beginning.
Encryption, that's a good question on that. It's not really clear in the documentation on the encryption level. At the file system, I don't believe they have any encryption. I'm not sure if you can do that at the block level, since it's a different product. We'll probably find out more when that becomes GA, but my guess right now is probably not, unless they have a special interface to allow encryption.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like that's something they would advertise if available, so it's good to know. Keep it on the lookout. Anyone else have any questions? Those two had come in during the presentation, but I'm not seeing any at the end here. So if that's it for today, as I mentioned in the beginning, I know some of you joined us a little later, so if you go ahead and go over to the bit.ly here, Ask Me Anything, which I'll put in a link in the chat. That is where you can go in and suggest Tech Tip Tuesday topics. We've gotten a couple come in the last week, which we're really excited about. We've got some good suggestions. So if you go there, we'll definitely look at that, consider that, and to reward you for helping us out with some suggestions, we'll send you a $25 gift card to Starbucks if we choose to use your suggestion. So please let us know if there's anything specific you'd like to learn about, and then enjoy a coffee or two on us. If you have any questions about today's episode that you think of later, or any previous episodes, which can all be found on our YouTube channel, feel free to send Howard an email directly. His email's here on the screen, howard@zadarastorage.com. He's also active on Twitter, so if you want to follow him or tweet at him with any questions, @HowardY. And of course, the BPSA user manual is always a great place for some more in-depth technical information that we can't plug in all in here in the 10-15 minutes we have with you. So I just sent the link for the suggestions page. Please feel free to fill it out if you have any topics you'd like to be covered in the future. But thanks everyone for joining us today, and enjoy your holiday weekend if you're here in America, and we'll see you on the 5th.